On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope. H-O-P-E. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know? Every day, one step at a time, man. We gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice, focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate. And seeking knowledge make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
All right, peace, everyone. Welcome back. I want to thank y'all for coming. This is and I didn't put my cover up this time, which I should have, but I didn't. But this is the Helping Our People Elevate study class. And we're going over the Fathers of the Modern Race Paradigm, Part 9. And so, as you see on the screen, we have the warning, because this is going to get real deep, but I'm not going to read all that, but the warning's up here, so just be prepared. And so, I hope y'all are prepared for a great lesson between me and Brother El-Kanan. Today's discussion is why is color used to represent people in the United States instead of nationality? And as I said, this presentation will be presented by myself and Brother El-Kanan. So why is color used to represent people in the United States? Why not nationality? Why is color used instead of nationality? And so, as I said, this is the Fathers of the Modern Race Paradigm, Part 9 of my series. Also, my book will be coming out from 1684 to present, How Race and Color Became People. So that'll be coming out spring or summer next year, 2025. But we're dealing with the craniologist, Francis Bonner, and his book, New Division of the Earth, or Nouvelle de la Terre, in 1684. The naturalist, Carlos Linnaeus, and his Systeme Naturae of 1758. Excuse me. Then you had the anthropologist, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, who associated the term whites with Caucasian from 1793 to 1795. All right, so Brother Abdullah, if you would like to.
Abdullah, do you want
Abdullah, you there?
Or King, if you want to.
Yes, this is the title of this is on next Wednesday, August 14th, 2024, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. We will have the YouTube link. The YouTube link should be available, I guess, this weekend or probably Monday. But I wanted to get this flyer up so that we can at least market it. All right, so we have it'll be broadcast live on New Kemetic TV YouTube. New Kemetic TV YouTube, that is Brother Bendelay's platform. So we have the New Kemetic TV, Brother Bendelay, Ill. We're going to put his full, we're going to do, all right, we have Shem Malachi Bey of the Owl of the Republic, Apostolic Republic, King Al Bey, the Moorish Union of Sovereign Tribes. We got Sister Bacola, Kusar Ill, International Human Rights Commission, USA, Regional and African Middle East Economic Sustainability, MISA. We have Brother Minis, Ill of the Moorish Republic, and myself, Abdullah Il Telemosi Bey of the Moroccan Post School of Government International Law. The title is The Force of Moorish Unity, Knowledge and Understanding of Legal Concepts, Part 1. This will be a series. As you say, this is Part 1, so we're looking to do this at least once a month. It'll be on Wednesday, same time, from 6 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. And we'll go for 2 hours. And I'm excited about this. We all of us, see here to have Sister Pacola be bringing the female energy, And I wanted Sister Pacola to come on, be on the platform, sister who has proper concepts, who's been with us for 4.5 years, you know. So they have the female energy, so we would not have all brothers on the platform. And so this is wonderful. I'm excited about this. This represents a force of unity. Brother Aminus, I reached out to him about a year ago, but he actually was on Quasi's platform. The last class Quasi's had, I was on my way to Detroit. I was on the bus the whole time. On my way to Detroit on the Greyhound bus. We stayed on until 3 o'clock. It wasn't live until 3, but it was like 5 of us or 6 of us that actually stayed on until 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. King was on, Menace, myself, and 3 or 4 others were on with us until 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, so this is on one. So King.
Yeah. So this series is going to bring a lot of legal understanding by understanding the principles of law. So you guys got to bring your pen and pad because I'm gonna be with the group showing you the layers of how the legal system operates. We're going to talk about the principles, the application from the source of law, right, to findings of facts, operation of law, and the various degrees of how this works, not just from a domestic, and we're going to talk about private rights of actions to public right of action on an international and a domestic scale. So you guys will be showing you proper legal concepts. We're going to kill all of the misconceptions. We're going to show you when you have a powwow, the group of people that on this flyer have expert knowledge. Abdullah is an expert in etymology, history, sham, treaty studies. I am in legal principles in litigation, breaking down. Bandalay is a litigator. Sister Pocola, strength of the sisterhood with legal knowledge and treaty studies with Abdullah and understanding the etymology and how this has shaped society, how words are used to shape the mind of the people that use these words. Brother Menace, he brings litigation strategies and how to write and draft litigation. You will be getting a powwow worth of information. I need you guys to come on in, bring pen and pad. We'll be showing you some good, valuable information, and we're going to kill all the misconceptions so you will know how this law works so that we can get to running government, not just running it, but running it effectively so that we'll know how we'll be in proper standing. Peace and love, everybody.
Indeed. Indeed. I'm looking forward to that. I ain't even gonna lie. I know when y'all get together, it's gonna be great. All right, so going into why is color used to represent people? Why not nationality? Why is nationality not important? Or why is nationality important? And so the answer is the purpose of using color is to separate the people from their nationality, heritage, birthrights, land, resources, inheritance, culture, behavior, genealogy, ancestry, consanguinity, pedigree, lineage, etc. It connects a person or people to a culture, to their birthrights, a way of life, a way of thinking, and to a history. A nationality ties a citizen to a nation of that or in that country. So your nationality deals, of course, we know what nationality deals with, but like I said, your nationality deals with your ancestry, birthrights. Your birthright, ancestry, consanguinity, pedigree, genealogy, lineage. I just had a freeze. Pardon me, but
yeah, pedigree. Okay.
Yeah, pedigree, lineage, ancestry, genealogy. There's a few other I just can't get them off the tip of my tongue, but I did it in my last and 3 other videos, presentations.
So why is color used to represent people instead of nationality? Color, color is and was used to separate people from their nationality, thereby forfeiting their birthright and inheritance, not forgetting, but never even knowing. That's the criminal difference. So the issue is, all right, you didn't even know, you didn't have the privilege of knowing who you are, right? So you definitely don't have any claim to something that you don't know that you even had. So observing one's nationality connects one to their culture. This means their practices, their mentality, the type and quality of life, their land, producing agriculture, resources that creates foods, jobs, buildings, utensils, transportation, vehicles, in short, everything.
All right, and so the reason why I brought this up, we talked about the chromatic schema or the chroma schematic in the last presentation, but I brought this up because the word noir in the middle, this is the French language, and this is a chroma schema or a chromatic schema, a color chart. But I brought this up because of the code noir. The United States adopted the code noir, which is the black codes from France. And so when you deal with the legal definition of black codes, it tell you this is how they took the Carl Linnaeus, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, Francis Bernier concept and put it on the people. This is where it came from. You want to go ahead and go into this one?
All right, yeah. So here, you see all of these, you see different countries. And in these different countries with the land masses, the regions of the world where these individuals are, each one is representative of a nationality. So you have Asia, for Asians. But in Francois Bernier, his representation of representing using this chromatic schema to represent people, then now this person is, you would refer them as the yellow man or the yellow person. You look at Europe, you have the European, and here it would represent, as again, white, looking at the chromatic schema again. And the same thing for, you look at El Cabalan and you look at black. So that would be representative of black. Now I know, don't worry about the second picture that's in there, because I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. And then we have United States. You look at that as a red man, or we refer, we associate, the world associates the United States with the red man. And then brown, Latin America, that is represented by the brown man. And then finally, you have India, and that here, again, that one would represent brown. This is the chromatic schema for these 5 major groups. We look at white, red, yellow, brown, and then black. And we're going to look at something specifically to go into that. The reason why I named it that way, the reason why we named it that way, and the reason why these countries are lined up in a way that they are. Well, they're not lined up in that particular specific order, but each one of the nationalities represents the landmass. And what's so important about putting the landmass up as far as the map is because in Francois Bernier's programming, the purpose of representing the individual by color is to separate them from their nationality and thereby their land and their resources. So of course, it's the process. And then what happens here is we look at the Asian. Well, before we even say look at the Asian, in the middle of the screen here, right at South America, we see whitewashing. So what the European, and I'm using that name lightly because that's actually a that's actually a Moorish name itself, but we're gonna stick with this right now and look at whitewashing. So what do we mean by whitewashing? Well, whitewashing, you take a look at the picture here. When we look at Asia, we see on the left side, we see a man that clearly is an Asian. He has the genotype, he has the features and the whole 9 yards. He looks Asian, right? You wouldn't confuse him with the red man or Indian or whatever the case it is. You wouldn't confuse him with someone from Latin America. So on the right side, you see this woman. Now at quick glance, she could be Asian. She could look Asian. And surprisingly, she is Asian. Her features looks like she is European, but she actually is an Asian woman. She's a famous, well, I don't say famous, but she's an actress, a model. And she looks more European, and she's sticking to those particular looks because that's what's going to advance her career. And we look over here, we see for the European, and I'm gonna get back to that statement, the reason why I said that, the European and Europe. So we come over here to Al-Kebalan. Now, this is interesting because we see this Moor. He's got the kinky hair. He's got the brass skin, right? So we know it's okay. Yeah, all right. We would look and say, hey, that's a brother. But on the other side of him, you see a picture of 3 individuals. And remember, this we're talking about is whitewashing. So what has happened now is, surprisingly, these 3 that you see in the corner here on the left side of Al-Kebalan are Black, all 3. Yeah, they're Black. They don't have the features, of course, they don't have the skin tone, but this is when you trace, especially the 2 on the end, the man and then the older woman with the blonde hair, when you trace their lineage, they are either it's their great-grandparents, somewhere between their great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents. They're a couple of generations removed, but the fact of the matter is these individuals are also Black as well. That's whitewashing. So I'm going to do the same thing when we look at United States. You look at the Native American. He, on the right side, you have this woman here. Again, she looks like the European, and she is she's Native American. You look here, when we take a look at the Latin American, you could see the guy on the left side. He looks like he could be Latin American, Cuban or maybe Venezuelan or something like that. So he kind of matches. But the guy on the right side in Latin America, you can tell, right off the bat, yeah, all right, yeah, you wouldn't have to, guess. You're like, all right, yeah, he's either Mexican or Puerto Rican. You would just have that look. He has that look. You could say that. But if you notice the brother, the one that looks Cuban or Venezuelan or something like that, it's still South American. But what happens is there's a whitewashing. So there's a process of continually trying to rub out the people of color, brown, Black, and these are not people, the color, it does not represent the people, but that is the psychology. That's what the world has taken on, this color or this chromatic schema, because color doesn't represent what we, how we look at this chromatic schema anyways. But what happens is in each one of these land masses or countries, what's happening is the people are all looking the same. Everybody's looking white. Everybody's looking white. But although people are, they have their phenotype, and their look is authentic to maybe 100 years or 1,000 years ago. So now every one of the areas are represented. They're represented with the face of either lighter face or characteristics, description that looks white. So everybody is looking almost, like they're the same. Over in the Indian brown, you see the woman here that's carrying a baby, and she looks like she fits in that area. She fits in India. But then you have these kids that are on the right. They look they look like they probably could be, maybe you could say, they might look a little European, or they might look something else. But the fact of the matter is, they, again, if you look at all of these countries, they're all whitewashed. They're all whitewashed. In other words, you have someone that looks like they're European. And the idea, again, with using color instead of nationality is to separate these people from these parts of the land and replace these individuals with all people who look European. Everybody that looks European, so it's a one world order, a supremacy, a control, and that control is to take over the landmass, the resources, and things of that nature, and leaving the others who are there to all conform to controlling mass, or the controlling power of European control. All right, any questions on that?
That's actually true.
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
I think he was saying that it's actually true.
Oh, okay. And I will add this though too. I will add this. When we look at Al-Kabalan as well, and it's true. This is true for India. It's true for Latin America, everywhere but Europe. Because there's no need to whitewash there. But the thing is, when they have commercials in these particular countries, when they have the commercials, those individuals, you have some folks. Here's the real exciting. I don't say excited. It's an interesting part. It's interesting. Everybody, all of these, Asia, the United States, Latin America, Al-Kabalan. Well, we don't have to worry about it, Al-Kabalan, but India. All of these individuals you have people there that look like me and you. You know what I'm saying? Like us. They look. And I'm talking about dark. Like the look. You look at the footprint across the world. You know what I'm saying? Even today, you got individuals with kinky hair. You got individuals that look just as dark. Me, Kono, those of us who are dark skinned, even darker. You know what I'm saying? And you don't see that. You don't see that in the commercials. You don't see that in the billboards when people are traveling and arriving to the country. You don't see the dark-skinned Indian. You know what I'm saying? You see someone that looks white. You in Africa and Al-Kabalan, you might well, you won't. I won't say that you won't. But Latin America, obviously, United States, it kind of mixes it up, but the majority, of the media that you see is going to be billboards, the airports, different things is going to be European and same as Asian. So the whole point of this right here is this is saying the people are being stripped away from their nationality. They're being stripped away from their resources, and in place of the indigenous looking of those people is being replaced by the European type phenotype and the whole nine. Okay. All right, let's move on. I didn't mean to belabor that point too long, but I just wanted to get that across because that's a
Elkanah, I want to make a point to support what you're saying. There's a movie called the Rabbit Hole. A movie called The Rabbit Hole about Australia.
Okay.
And what in the movie, the native people, our native brothers and sisters of the land, they're placed in orphanages. You know, it's because remember Great Britain, this colonization, British colonization of the land. All right, so under British colonization of the land, you know, they take the children away from the parents and place them in orphanages. And they were children are inspected by the priests or nuns. They're inspected, and they pull the shirt up to inspect their back to see how, because they're lightening them. You know what I mean? So they see how light they are, you know, or how dark they are. And I said, it's called the rabbit hole, and the rabbit hole fence. It was a rabbit hole fence that actually was miles long. So check that out, the rabbit hole. And so this is supporting what Elkanah is saying, that this was done. So y'all have done a great job with this. Wow, this is great, because what y'all have done, keep in mind, what y'all have done is presenting the application of this Francois Bernares Nouvelle Division de la Terre 1684, Colonnades and Johann Friedrich Bumbach is this. You're showing the modern results. You know, the modern effects. Here we are, you know, years later, and the worldwide application of it. This is wonderful. This is, y'all got an A+++++++. This is excellent. I tip my, this is wonderful, brothers.
Thank you, Abdullah. I just saw a screenshot there from I don't want to say it wrong, Curtis. I think brother Curtis Thomas, and he said we'll talk about the lightning. And I told Akono, I said, look, man, and I knew this was gonna happen, and I'm waiting on you, King. We ain't got the right slide for you yet, but I'm waiting on you because I know you're gonna chime in. And we waiting for it, and I know, Abdullah, you're gonna continue. I said that to say, because I was doing the math here, and I said, hey man, we got almost 60 slides. If we don't run through this and give 2 minutes a slide,
we're gonna make
we're
gonna make this a part 2. I
said, if we don't run through this, man, I said we're gonna have trouble, because it's gonna be a part 2. Because we're probably not gonna. I'm more than sure, especially because of how we started. Like, you know, we was behind a little bit or whatever, and just because there's so much to cover, we was hoping to say, all right, we're gonna get this done in 2 hours. And I don't know about that. Because I want you guys to chime in, because we're uncovering some things and we're hitting some points that is going to require discussion. So Carl said, talk about the lightning of the skin industry. So as we saw with F.O.T.M.R.P, we see the European phenotype that's over here. Well, that's not phenotype. It is, but that's who's there. These individuals. Now, I'm not saying that there are people that look just like this in F.O.T.M.R.P that are actually. I'll put it to you this way: less than 1,000 years. Let me say that we have, these. I'll put it to you this way: the background of everyone started here in El Cabaline. Everyone background started here. So you have your DNA and your RNA is here. But what ends up happening is as you change to different land masses, different things start to happen. But we'll look at Australia, and then we'll look at no, not even Australia. I take that back. El Cabaline. This is what's happening in El Cabaline. I can't speak for the other countries, but I know this for a fact that's happening today. The lights, the skin lightening, and this is sad. I don't know mentally how you can actually do this to yourself. It hurts me as I'm older, and when I was younger and I was in Nigeria, I just said, you know, that's just stupid. But what that is bleaching the skin, bleaching the skin to hope that your skin would turn white. And what ends up happening is when your skin, which is an organ, and you bleach that, what happens is it starts to not only create cancer, but what it also does is it gets splotches. You may have one big old, you know, splotch of white, you know what I'm saying? You remove the pigmentation, you know, but you still don't get that, you know, you still don't get the skin tone that you're looking for. You just get something that's just white, and unfortunately, it turns you, it makes you look a little grotesque, because now you have a little black, a little brown, then you have white. You're slowly doing that, and you're killing yourself. So that's something that's going on. Bleaching is going on in El Cabaline right now, today, this evening as we speak. And it's unfortunate. One of the things that happened in the maybe 1800s, and I don't know if it was early 1900s or not, but close to that. What happened is not a bleaching, but it was killing off. If there were two babies and one baby was the darker baby or whatever, that baby, I'm sorry, go ahead. That baby would have a less survival rate. You know, just surprisingly, all of the dark babies had a less of a survival rate, especially during the times of captivity. You know, when they were slave masters and plantations, which again is not too much different from what we have right now. Instead of the whip, is the gun, and instead of having the plantation owners, you have the corporations and the jobs that we go to and things of that nature. But that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, the light skin, it's a whole industry. And I know it is in other areas, though. It is in other countries. But I can't speak on it because I don't know that for a fact. I know for a fact what's happening in different areas of El Cabaline, mostly in the middle part, Nigeria, Liberia, Ghana, some of these areas. So that's kind of unfortunate. But yep. So yeah, there is.
If I can add
yep.
on, they're doing it here as well.
Say that one more time.
I was just saying, if I can add on, they're doing it here as well. I think it was Serena Williams and Lil Kim. Those was just two celebrities off the top of my head that I've seen bleach their skin.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my bad. I didn't. I
think Beyonce too. I seen the image of her. She was a little lighter too. They said her too, but I don't know. But that's another subject too as well. Yeah, Sammy Sosa. Yeah, I forgot about Sammy.
Wow. So, and this is why we said, yeah, I was like, you know what, we gonna run through 57 times 1 is 57 times 2. You know, we got about 2 hours and 4 minutes. But again, this is we just can't rush over these things because there has been damage done. We have been damaged. So this thing here, I didn't know that it was happening. And so that's in El Cabaline. I was like, all right, well, I know it ain't reached here. As much hell we done been through here, I know we ain't trying to, but yeah. So I mean, it's happening here, and it's happening with stars, and usually, oh man, usually people that's down on their, I won't say down on their luck, but they want a better advantage in life. Say, okay, you know what? If I can bleach my skin and I can start things off, and I can look this way, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna get treated better. If you look, there's even history of parents favoring the lighter child over the darker child. There's been a sick psychology, and I'm not going to give it all to Francois Bernard, but that going into this thing, when you look at whitewashing and you look at trying to change, who you are, it's sad. It's sad, but
could I say something too?
Mhm.
I want us to also think about the concept through this social engineering that they're putting us into also this social status, the status that they're putting us in, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to get those who have the money, because those who are adopting that race paradigm, they're trying to solely shift nationality out of the equation to shift into a more space of a social class, right? Where now you're going to have the have and have-nots. And it's not going to be based in nationality, principles of law. It's going to be based on a social construct through the language and all of these things. So those who adopt this ideology and principle would now be transformed into thoughts of thinking in this manner, right? They're morphing the people into this concept of thinking. So now we get away from this whole nationality, indigenous, autochthonous people who had land rights, to this new social engineering based on wealth, based on colorism, based on these different these social practices. And that's what society, they're trying to morph it into this new concept. So I want us to think about that. They're trying to transfer it into this new concept where now they can have total global control.
Indeed, King, indeed. So that new concept that King is talking about is like it's not only the New World Order concept or one of its factors, or characteristics, but it's also a one world order where everyone is on the same mindset. So the people now, what King was saying, like, okay, here's everybody that's all coming together underneath one banner, and that banner is money. It's the money, and you have the thoughts, the behavior, the concepts, everything. So folks are being groomed, and this is not something that's new. This is something that's been going on. We're just bringing light to it. You know what I'm saying? And throughout the years, there have been organizations, those before us, they talked about these particular things, but it's becoming more and more prevalent now, because now we're seeing, I mean, I just can't even imagine when we finish here, I'm gonna have to take a look at Sammy Sosa and
Serena.
Man.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's happening, but all right, I don't want to belabor the point too much. I'm glad for the chime in, King, for it, but it's one people. It's about the people is green now. You got the color is green. It's about the money, and if you won't, and he's right. It's about the assimilation. It's about the assimilation of it's about the assimilation of everybody being into that one mindset and that one grouping, you know, of money, and then everyone's gonna adhere around the world. Like, I don't know if you are Star Wars fans, but it's like the Return of the Sith. It's like, okay, now everybody, boom, turn on. Like, we're gonna give one command, and that's gonna let
I want to see
everybody
that
know.
tonight.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I watch that at least once a month, you know. But that's a different story. I don't want to get into that, you know what I'm saying? But because that has a lot of stuff in it too. There's a lot of symbolism in that. But yeah. So anyways, that's what we're looking at. Let's slide on to the next one, because each one of these are going to be thought provoking. That's the way we kind of created this, so it's thought provoking and really make us look at things. So O'Connell, you want to read this one, or you want me to read it?
You know, we talking about why is nationality not important, and so when we're dealing with this chromo spectrum, we are dealing with colors, which are, as we dealt with in the Black's Law Dictionary, means artificial, distinguished from that which is real. Prima facie, it's an exterior. It's not an inner. It's outside looking in. But yeah, this here is we dealing with. I just gave 10 examples of nations and their nationalities, and as we know, nations and nationalities, like I said, the quality of character which arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or a state, and each nation has a flag. These nations have their own food. They have their own language. They have their own culture. They have a history, and so that's my piece on it. Brother Elkanah, I know you'll touch on it a little better than I can, but
you did an excellent job. I mean, so the chromatic schema is it can't represent. Let me just give you this example. It can't represent a people because, okay, let's take a look at black. We'll do that. You have black. Now, black is if that's representing a people, first of all, we take a look at the actual shades. We take a look at the different levels of this schema of black, but you don't have that. In black, it's just black. There's no level 1, level 2, level 3, whatever the case is. When you look at the people, we have all different hues. We have light, dark. I mean, we go, it's about at least 20 different shades if you look at a spectrum of a color. But again, you can't use that because color, how do you do that? It doesn't even really make sense when you break it down, because how many shades of black is black? How many shades of black are there? You know, they're not any shades. It's just that, you know what I'm saying? Any one of those colors, yellow, red, blue, whatever. Well, with blue, yeah, you do have some different, things if you're looking at that particular color. But with these particular ones, like Akono said, there's history, there's the culture, the foods, language, and things of that nature. But more importantly, if you say, okay, if you want to just use and say, okay, black, well, you look at the Nigerian, okay, you say, well, black, okay, well, but you have 3 basic tribes, the Igbo, the Yoruba, and the Hausa, and then you start breaking it down to the, more on the east side. You still have the Ijaw, Ishan, you have different ones that break down. In Yoruba, you don't just have Yoruba, but you have some breakdowns of different things there too. And you can do that for every nationality. You can do that from Morocco, China, Russia, Brazil, India, Japan, down the line. And you get into the particular clans within that particular tribe. You know what I'm saying? And color just doesn't have a place. When you analyze and you look at it, it doesn't take much analyzation, because they're not all these different shades. There might be the shades of this chromatic schema, where you may have a red, or orange, like when the sun is coming up. You have these different variations as far as the colors are concerned, but it does not represent. It does not represent the people at all. It can't represent the people. So I mean, you said it already, Akono, but I just added that little piece to it because there's so much that you have to look at when you go into this chromatic schema that it's no way that you can just say that this represents one group of people, just breaking down how nonsensical that is. But yep.
As I'm listening to you and I was reading the comments, I'm just thinking, as you said earlier with the picture we were going into, when we deal with the origin of all these land masses, the Moors covered every one of these locations, but they don't show that on the television. They don't show that in the media. You know what I mean? They always show the lighter image, the pale image. So I was just looking at these flags and I was just thinking in every one of these locations, because even in Canada, there are dark people, but they don't show them. So you would think it is only a light skinned or a pale complected person in Canada.
Indeed.
Japan, India, I mean, all these places, Russia, there's Moors in Russia, there's Moors in France. But we're taught that there's only a lighter complected person in those areas. And so that's what I just wanted to add that on there.
Okay. And yeah. That's true. Go ahead. I hear somebody. No. All right. So go ahead, Akono.
All right, so we're talking about social engineering and skin tone based on complexion. And so this is the ranking order, as Elkanah was saying earlier. We didn't have the map in the ranking order, but this is the ranking order he was saying. White, yellow, brown, red, black. Now, the question is why is this the ranking order? Elkanah, go ahead and explain to them why this is the ranking order, if you don't mind.
Yep. All right. So what happens is the other part about it, this was work that was put in. This was work that was put in. I mean, legitimately, this was work that was put in with the race paradigm and connecting color with representation of people, because it's based off of privilege. Mm-hmm. So we're here in North America. So the privilege, the one who gets the top jobs, the ones that are put in places of power, the judge, the bailiff, the warden, you know what I'm saying, the lawyer, people who are in high power, the director or the head of surgery, the surgeon, a lot of the doctors, people who make influences on folks' lives, those who have the best privilege to have the best life. Then you go down the line. The next person in that order, again, we're speaking of North America right now, would be the Asian, which, again, looking at Francois Berner's description, the yellow man. And he's the next one that's in power. When you take a look at it now, you always see that what's going on, the trade that's happening is with Asia, China, Japan, in jobs. Most of the time, what you end up seeing, or the next powerhouse as far as economics, would then be the Asian. Okay, and even hiring. If these five groups of people were listed, the first person to get that job, of course, would be the European, and then after that, the Asian, and then after that, the Hispanic, and then Native American, and then the Moor. Okay, so that is the rank as far as those individuals who are privileged, who get the privilege. And now in these particular countries now as well, when you look at these particular land masses, you know, you will have those individuals who are lighter. Those who are lighter in that particular landmass, they're the ones who have priority. I'm not necessarily saying that person is going to get the job, but that person has priority. They do this. India, oh my God. So in India, they look, you know, the dark skinned Indian will have the waiter's job. He will be the waiter. And then you have the light skin. He will be the one 9 times out of 10 greeting you at the the restaurant or greeting you at the hotel or behind the front desk or something like that. The only people who will be in servant roles will be those of darker, so that the European supremacy will be universal throughout all of the globe, so that when folks move around, it's like membership has its privileges. When folks move around, they look and they say, okay, fine, you know what? Okay, I know when European is moving around, it's like, okay, well, I'm going here, I'm going here, I'm going here. And folks are talking to each other. Hey, well, yeah, the service is good and blah, 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 and everything. Is to make sure that the person of darker hue, the one at the end of this list, catches hell all the time, and knowing that we got a foot on his neck and we're going to keep it on his neck. We're not going to let him rise at all. We're not going to let him rise. So that is the go ahead. I hear King.
No, if you don't have
Okay.
anything to say, can y'all mute your mic?
All right. So that is the actual breakdown of it. And again, what we're looking at is it's not just in North America, but it's all over. It's all over. Maybe not in El Cabalon. I lied. It is. It is. Congo, South Africa. And again, I'm just speaking of that I actually know of. And I think even, I don't know, I can't really speak so much on Liberia, but I know Congo and South Africa. What happens is really jacked up there, because what happens in South Africa, there is the what do you call this thing? There's the Indian. There's actually the Indian, East Indian. All right, the folk that we see is East Indian. They're there. You have the South African who is dark skinned. You have the lighter skin, and there's another culture there as well, another nationality there. But at the bottom of the list, at who's scrubbing the floors, or not even the floors, might be the sewers or something like that, like the real job. You know, it is the South African that lives there, but it's the dark-skinned South African that has the crappy job, real crappy job. And it's witnessed so that people know, oh, okay, we got to make sure that we see this person and this person is down. And everybody else who is lighter, right, they have more privileged jobs. So this is kind of, you know, based off of hue and nationality and everything, just to keep the more down. All right, let's move on.
I'll read this.
Okay.
So as we're talking about social engineering and skin tone again. And so in the racial sense of those, chiefly European or of European extraction, characterized by light complexion, as he was just explaining the skin, the lightening of the skin. It's recorded from the 1600s. The meaning characterized of or pertaining to white people is from 1852, American English. White supremacy is attested from 1868, so I'm giving you a stamp on when these terms came into play. 1600, 1852, 1868. From the American English, John H. Van Hervey, MD, White Supremacy and Negro Subordination, New York, 1868. White Flight is from 1966, American English. And so the intent or the purpose of calling the Albion white is to represent purity, honesty, fairness, justice, equality, righteousness, which is all propaganda. And we see that on a daily basis. You want to add anything before I go to the next one?
No, that's spot on.
Okay, and then we go into the social engineering of skin tone of Black, which is used for dark-skinned people in Old English, of coffee with nothing added, attested by 1796. Now I want you to pay attention to these words that I'm about to go into. The meaning fierce, terrible, wicked is from late 14th century. The figurative sense often came from the notion of without light, without knowledge, moral or spiritual. Latin, Niger, had many of the same figurative senses. So black comes from gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked, malicious. The metaphoric use of the Greek word malice, however, tended to reflect the notion of shrewd in darkness, overcast. In English, it has been the color of sin and sorrow at least since 1300. The sense of with dark purpose, malignant, emerged 1580s. In black art, necromancy, it is also the sense of in black magic. And so the purpose of representing Moors as black was to demonize and show Moors as animals and not human beings. Fierce, terrible, wicked, gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked, malicious.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so the one of the main reasons why all of this stuff is happening as far as why black is it has all of these negative connotations, wicked, evil, fierce, terrible, all of this other stuff, is the war campaigns throughout the 1700s, 1600s, 400s, or whatever the case it is. When looking at the Moors being killed off all over the world and throughout history, it makes it so that if you can demonize and turn this individual into a animal or a non-human, then killing this person off and whitewashing the country where the domination took place, then it's like, oh, okay, these are animals. So, in fact, looking at, I give you a good example, looking at examples where it's the cowboys and the Indians, right? So just looking at some of those, and then you look and you say, oh yeah, let's kill them. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm with the cowboys. If you had to root for a side growing up, you rooting for the cowboy because you're like the Indian. Oh, the Indian is a savage. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't want to root for this person here. I'm on the side of the cowboy because that's the person of refinement and culture. You know what I'm saying? I'm not this one here. I'm not rooting for him. But at least majority. That's what I'm gonna say. Majority of us were. And when I say majority, I'm speaking almost 90% because that was the programming that we got. So when you see someone being killed, when you see a brother being killed in the street, and they say, just like what they did with who was it, Daryl Floyd, what happened with him, you saw the police, later, we saw the police put their knee on his neck.
George Floyd.
I'm sorry, George Floyd. My apologies, George Floyd. When you saw that, what they did is they in the media, they demonized him. They were like, oh, he was a thief and he was a crook and they put all of these things. So it's like his death means nothing. It's nothing because he's an animal anyways. So this programming and brainwashing has been going on since the early 1900s, and it's just been it's a process. So looking at a Moor being killed in the street, we got examples for days, and we're gonna get to some of that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the demonizing and making the Moor to be an animal and wicked and everything is just so you can say, hey, you know what? Go ahead, kill the person, take the resources. They're doing that today. Now, if a person has a home or a person has whatever the case may be, once that person gets locked up, all that stuff is confiscated and very rarely given back when a person comes out of prison or whatever the case it is. Definitely if they had a home or something like that, that's gone. You know what I'm saying? Apartment gone, job gone, money in the bank gone. I mean, you have nothing. You literally have nothing. So that's kind of the purpose of that. And I'm just giving the extra commentary because I want to make sure that we actually, you know, we may already know what it is that I'm saying, but I just want to bring it back to the forefront of your mind just to say, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I forgot that. Or yeah, you know, just to, you know, put that stamp on it. All right.
El Kahante, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You ever
Go ahead.
read up on the Moorish invasion of Northern Africa in Southern Europe?
Well,
Also known as the Muslim invasion?
I have read up on it. Not recently though, but I have read up on it.
Would you consider those people brutal, vicious?
I would consider that was, I mean, when you look at an invasion, you look at war, you have to put things in its context as well. Now, I'm not going to justify it, but let me say it to you this way. Let me ask you this, and I'll say it in an example. If, let's say you came to my house, and when you left my house, my daughter was raped, my son was beaten and killed, my wife was disrespected and abused, property was either damaged or taken. Now, I come to your house, or maybe I come to visit you. Maybe it's not even across the street. Maybe it's not even across town. Maybe it's, you know, in another area. You know, maybe I had to fly or drive there, whatever the case it is. So now looking at an invasion, if I'm invading, and this is not in the proper context per se of the Moorish invasion, because you have to keep something in mind. The Moors cultivated Europe. So the issue is, yeah, there's invasion to the sense that there was a war or whatever the case it is. But the fact of the matter is, when you're coming back, when you are revisiting something, or you're taking back something that was yours, or if you were maybe in a way, I don't want to say exacting revenge or whatever the case it is, or maybe to go into that, there's a lot of factors, and this would not be, I don't want to go into that right now because that's going to take us slightly off. I will say any war is brutal. Any war there is, and I don't want to use the word savagery, because when we look at, and I don't know the etymology of the word savage, because that's not my area, etymology, but I will say this though, when you look at that word savage, what happens is it's like you would look at a human being and then you look at an ape, right? And you say, or gorilla, and you say, that's a savage. Or you look at a human being and you look at a lion, or that's a savage. Because the way, if they're going to inflict pain, or if they're going to do something to you, if you smack a lion or you smack a gorilla dead in the face with as much force as you can, it's not going to be a good idea, because you're not going to be able to run faster than that particular animal. In other words, that dominant figure is going to, when he gets his turn, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be a lot worse, or whatever the case it is. And I'm not trying to paint I'm just trying to paint an exact picture so that we can actually take a look at that. And what I would like to do is talk about that. I would like to get into one time we have maybe on Moore's
Can I interrupt
Monday.
you just for 1 second?
Yep.
Are you a descendant of them, the people, the Moorish Empire?
Can we stay focused on the presentation though?
I'm getting to the point.
We're off subject. We getting off subject.
You're talking about nationality. I'm trying to get to a point.
Okay, what's your point?
Yes.
So you're a descendant from the Muslim invasion of North Africa and Southern Europe, which is also known as the Moorish Empire.
I'm part of the Moorish Empire. As far as the invasion, you know, you have Moors around the globe. So as far as saying it was, am I directly connected to those physical individuals who were part of that actual battle or whatever the case it is? I don't know if I can trace DNA to that particular group.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I add to that? Can I add a little bit of something to what the brother was saying? The Muslim invasion of Northern Africa and Western Africa, that was about 500 BC. And it was more or less the Arabs coming across the northern part of Africa. Prior to that invasion, you come to another form of I guess you would call it Islam that predates the Orthodox Muslim invasion of Africa. So you can't say that someone is a descendant of a religion. That's not possible. You can only be descendants of a nation. You asked if he was a descendant of the Muslim invasion. It's not possible to be a descendant of an invasion. Now, the religion that was left by the Arabs, now that's something else. Is he a descendant of the people? Are we descendants of the people who practiced the Muslim religion after the Muslim invasion? Yes, that is possible. But I just wanted to kind of clarify on your question because it sounded like you added something extra to it. So with that, peace and love.
Indeed, I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
My point was trying to get to nationality, but in a long story short is if somebody lives in Nuremberg, Germany, their nationality is German.
Well, that's not true. That's not true.
So let's explain why that's not true.
All right, I'm gonna explain. You said live. You said live.
Born, excuse me.
That's not. You said live. You said someone lives.
Okay, let me rephrase it.
All right,
Born
no problem.
in
As long
Nuremberg, Germany.
as you clear on what you were saying, we good. As long as you clear on what you're saying. You said live.
So their nationality is German.
No, you said live though. So then you're not clear on what you were saying.
I'm correcting myself. I meant to say born.
All right. So, and
don't get that confused with nativity, though.
Go ahead.
Is nationality based on blood pedigree?
Yes, you know, depending on where you live or where you were born, it's just like if a Chinese person were to, you know, were to have children here, you know, this is not their native. Anyway, go ahead.
No, you're right. I mean, continue on that
misconception. Born and live. He used two words: born and live. He used born and live. All right, so that's be cleared up. Born and live. So being born in France. All right, so let me explain because we got to clear this up. We got to explain this. All right. You have just solely and just sanguinis. All right. You have nations who, based on their naturalization policies, you have nations who adopt in their naturalization laws just solely. Meaning that just solely, and if they're not all nations have this, and the naturalization laws. If someone's born in China, you have a French couple who relocates to China. While living in China, they have the child. That child will automatically become a Chinese citizen, not Chinese, based on if China has just solely and their naturalization policies, that child born of French parents will become a Chinese citizen by virtue of being born in China. Not Chinese, though. That child is still French. The child is still French descent. So being that
But he has
child,
Chinese birthrights.
let me explain. That child of French mother, French father, we're talking about descent now, will be of French descent. The descent doesn't change, but of Chinese citizenship. A Chinese citizen, all right, by being virtue, because it's naturalization. It just solely is part of the naturalization laws. So that child will be conveyed, partial rights because of the naturalization, but they would not be Chinese by descent, ancestry, lineage, consanguinity, genealogy, pedigree, bloodline. So being born is being born in a land does not make you of that descent, doesn't change your descent, because it's based on genealogy. It's biological. So that has to be clear. So that's why this concept because we have this people put that concept, I am well, why are you so and so? Well, I am so and so because I was born here. No, that doesn't. They're talking citizenship just solely. That's what they mean, just solely.
Explain just solely to the.
All right, just solely. I explained that just solely, just law, soul, soil, solely, soil. All right, just soil. And I explained that it has to be adopted in the nation's naturalization, meaning that once again, the child, French parents, the mother has the child in China. Once again, China has just solely adopted in their naturalization laws, the child would automatically become Chinese citizenship. The child doesn't have to apply for Chinese citizenship. They don't have to put paperwork in for the Chinese for that child being born of French parents to be a Chinese citizen. That child would automatically be a Chinese citizen because China has just solely policy laws adopted just solely in their naturalization laws. All right. Now, if China does not have just solely adopted in naturalization laws, then that child would not be automatically a Chinese citizen by being born in China. They have to be adopted. The country has to adopt that. So you have countries China does not have it. Countries will not readily adopt just solely, all right? And that's to preserve their sovereignty. Why wouldn't countries, because that's also understanding, why would not countries adopt just solely? Why wouldn't a particular country to protect her sovereignty? Whereby, so you have to safeguard the sovereignty, whereby you don't want, foreigners, having all these children in your land, and then they take on Chinese citizenship by virtue of being born in China. That's to safeguard the sovereignty of the nation. So there's reason. So that's understanding just sanguinis is blood, meaning by the policy of so you have, these are international law principles dealing with citizenship. So just sanguinis is whereby a person by descent, if their mother is a mother or father, then that policy is written out in the naturalization laws too. That's also part of naturalization laws, just sanguinis or just solely. All right, but that has to be adopted in the country's naturalization laws. It has to be legislated. All right. So let's look it up. Just solely, just J-U-S, it's a term, Just J-U-S, all right, then you space, because it's a term, solely, S-O-L-I, you have just sanguinis, J-U-S, sanguinis, S-A-N-G-U-I-N-I-S, just sanguinis. Sanguine means blood.
So I just want to add a little bit to that. So, and it's going to reference back to the principle. The principle will be just solely or just solely or just sanguinis. That is the principle. But the application will come under what? Naturalization. This is why
naturalization, good. The application comes under naturalization, yes.
So when you understand why I'm teaching by principle, it'll guide you, right? So the application is the naturalization, the principle that's incorporated into that naturalization law is just solely or just sanguinis. And to perfect such claim, you must meet the elements of that principle.
Exactly right.
Then, if I could, I would like to add a little something to that. We can, and as an example, we can use the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, well, prior to the 14th Amendment, under international law, and these are coming from Supreme Court cases, they say that the enemies born in the dominions in the places of another sovereign are basically still foreign. Which is basically going on to what you said. If you were born in a French person born in China, they would still be foreign to China, but their child would be a Chinese citizen. When you look at the United States, a lot of people think that the 14th Amendment was automatic, but based on those international laws and standards, even back then, the 14th Amendment, once they created the immigration and naturalization laws for it, the 14th Amendment only really gave our people the opportunity to apply for U.S. citizenship, because you can't prove that we didn't come from here. You can't prove that we're not from here. So we would have to voluntarily come into U.S. citizenship, which the United States, at being a foreign power here, they have no nationality. All they have is a citizenship status. So basically, this goes back to this whole place being a corporation. All they have is a citizenship status, to the point that they've hijacked the word American, which, as we all know, only the indigenous people on this chunk of mud can be considered Americans. So, with that said, I'm in full agreement in what you said as it pertains to the just soulless and the just sanguineous. Our mission is to basically build on the nationality aspect, on the international law aspect of it, to reconnect ourselves to our land in an international context, because we're already here. We're not going anywhere. But yeah, I just wanted to add that piece. Islam.
Point here.
Islam.
Islam. We can't volunteer for nothing. Just hear me out. I don't care what you signed. I don't care what you signed. You can't volunteer. It's impossible to volunteer for anything. Hear me out. We're talking subjugation. We've been stripped of everything. Let's talk principle of contract, of competent mind. None of our people, we can't be of competent mind if you name, nationality, history, festivals, headdresses, language, ceremonies, rituals, knowledge of your previous laws and nation state. That's been stripped from us. We've been raised in captivity, been raised in subjugation.
Islam.
There's nothing, volunteering cannot apply to us. The word volunteering in a subjugated state, captivity state, can never apply to us. We can never volunteer this for anything. So the word volunteering, I don't care what we signed, what your parents signed, great-parents, great-great-parents signed, great-great-great-parents, we're talking like the condition in which we signed. Let's talk that. We're talking international law now. Subjugation.
Islam.
The condition upon, this is for everybody, not for you, this is for everybody.
Islam.
This is for everybody. The condition, not that you signed. Yes, we signed stuff. So we yes, they could throw it in your face. Yes, you signed. Yes, we signed stuff. Yes, we did. What's the condition upon which we signed? Not that we signed. Don't focus on that we signed. The condition that we signed. As a people, you know what I'm saying, is that we have to present that we are a nation of people who's under conquest. English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Dutch, conquest and colonization. We have to come from that perspective. That belonged to the Moroccan Empire by nationality, national origin, and descent. We know our mother is in the hospital. We know she's been in a coma for over 200 years. Let me give you the international law language. That is called a temporary collapse, called loss of sovereignty due to conquest and colonization. So due to Spanish, French, English, Dutch, Portuguese conquest and colonization, we've lost our sovereignty. Therefore, it led to a temporary collapse, extinction, disintegration of our empire. Therefore, that also led to the people being subjugated under French, Portuguese, English, Dutch, Spanish rule. And they're handed over to the United States, where the United States is a trustee and fiduciary of Spain, Portugal, French, English, and Dutch. We got to use this language. We got to spit it like this in world body. We got to spit it like this. We cannot present that the United States did not initiate anything. We will lose. Once we come out of our mouth and say United States first, we lost. The United States did not initiate anything. The United States is a trustee and a fiduciary for Spain, France, Portugal, England. They did. United States, we will lose if we say United States initiated. I yield.
Islam. And I'm just, even though this is, I want to say it's not specifically part of our blood, sweat, and tear that we put on the presentation, but the purpose of it is to provoke thinking. All right. So me as a teacher, my job when I'm teaching my kids math and science, my thing is not just to stay on script from my lesson plan, but when I teach the math, I want the students to be able to build on what their prior knowledge was, and then how they can go ahead and use math in the classroom, which the book may not even be applying. So now it's the application of the process. So us going through this, we stopped at skin tone and socialization, but then the question was asking, am I related? Is my contiguity or my bloodline or my DNA related to the Moors who were in this the conquering? And I say yes. I said yes then, and I say yes now. When we take a look at the Moors who conquered, yes, you look at North Africans who ruled Spain from 1711 to 1492. Great. Okay. So what happens though is this right here is going to cut straight to the chase, because we take a look at, well, what did the Moors look like? Who are these people that we're talking about? What did the Moors look like? When you look at what was said in the writings then, they described the Moors as black or tawny. Tawny is black, you know, swarthy. Again, using Francois Benes, this concept has been enriched throughout the world, especially in North America. So I'm using black right now to represent the Moors. But when we take a look at the Portuguese, did they have Arabian DNA? And yes, you know, they did. In fact, the Portuguese have roots in Africa, and like I said before, when we were dealing with the different nations and the different countries and the whitewashing, then yes, I mean all the whole globe was covered and ruled by the Moors. I mean the first people in history. We can't deny that. You can't come through life and say, you know what, I'm better than my parents or my grandparents, my great-grandparents, or down the line, because if it wasn't for them, you would not be here. So we gotta, you know, if we're gonna dig into this thing, we're gonna have to dig into it, you know, and just looking at history of fact, there are a lot of Portuguese with African ancestry, you know, and even the Spaniards have percentages of, I mean, you know, they listed at 4 to 12%, but there's a lot. There's all throughout just like when we took a look at the white folks that were in Albion, that we looked at for Alkebulan, we looked and we said, well, wait a minute, how do these people get placed in Africa? Why is their pictures placed in Africa? Because 3 generations ago, they looked like the guy, they looked like the Moor. You know what I'm saying? So, again, yes to that question. And I just want to, we spoke of law, and I just want to just jump into this real quick. And King, you can correct me. Man, me and my phone, man. Hold on, you all. I'm sorry. Oh, that's not me. Oh, that's somebody else. I thought my phone turned around. I said, dang, this phone is killing me. All right. So when we take a look at it, just to take a look at just sanguineous, and then we look at just solely. And I wanna bring that other part to it, because we didn't talk about just solely. We talked about just sanguineous, you know, and the general part of it when we talk about just sanguineous is right of blood, right? And it deals with nationality, determining person's citizenship based off of nationality of one or both of the parents at the time of birth. Say it again. Jus sanguinis is the right of blood. It's a Latin term, and it is a principle of nationality that determines the person's citizenship based on the nationality of one or both of their parents at that time of birth. Meaning, you could be in a country, the Chinese, I guess the person that's I think that Abdullah was saying, a person that they're Chinese and they're born in France, they're still Chinese, you know, but they do have a citizenship. They have a citizenship in that country. If it's France, then France, or Russia, it's Russia, whatever the case it is. But they're still there. Their genome phenotype is you look at it and that's what they are. You know, you can't deny that. You can't say, oh, but this Chinese person, they're French. You know, they don't have none of the characteristics. They don't have none of the bloodline. That bloodline, that DNA, all of that is enriched in a culture. It has thoughts and ideas and characteristics. So you cannot change that. That's not something that you can actually change. I mean, you can try and blend, you know, you can start blending the nationalities to try and blend one out of the other. But at the end of the day, those Europeans that we saw in Al Cabalon, they, at the end of the day, are still more. Now, they don't look like it because they've been whitewashed. It's been, you know,
names to them. You're talking application now. You're going back. You tied it in again. You're doing a great job. That's tied in. That's tied in to what you're doing. Calling names, Francois Benaire. That's it. You're tying it in. You're doing a great job. That's what you to mention that. You're doing a great job. You tied it in. Y'all bet you on the lesson. You on the lesson.
It's still the lesson. Yeah, it's still the lesson. I mean, you know, yeah, it's still the lesson. And then I wanted to just, we talked about the jus sanguinis, but then I want to also compare it to the jus soli, because what happens now is there's two fundamental processes. When you're looking at the naturalization process in the United States, when we look at citizenship of individuals, it's based on two different fundamental principles. One is the jus sanguinis, which is talking about contiguity, it's talking about bloodline, it's talking about DNA. We're talking about the blood. So now that's jus sanguinis. But now when we talk about jus soli, we're talking about right of birthplace. So you can be a citizen. You can be naturalized as a citizen for that particular country, and you be a citizen because of birthright or birthplace, rather. I'm sorry, because birthright now is dealing with your blood. So when you look at jus soli, you're looking at birthplace, and you're looking at where you were naturalized at. If you're Chinese and you were naturalized in France, yeah, you're a citizen of France, but your nationality, not citizenship, your nationality is still Chinese. So that doesn't change. Just as long as we're clear on that. And then a quick thing, when you look at citizenship, you have 7 types. A minor, a child who is below 21 years of age, which is considered legal adult or whatever the case it is. So that is citizenship in that particular regards.
But keep in mind, to got to qualify Al-Kanan, that's legislation of a particular country. Because you don't want to, you made a broad that there's 7.
Yeah, that
but you
was
understand
broad.
But I'm saying that has to be legislated. Because all countries may not adopt process. All 7.
That's
right.
True.
It has to be legislated in the law of naturalization laws. Yes. Right. And then it can be, of course, it can be amended. You know, they have to go through legislation again.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's for North America. I'll say that. That's for North America.
I'm just thinking of principle worldwide, though.
That's true too. Yeah, worldwide. Because legislation worldwide. That's right. That's right. So yeah, I can't say that as a blanket statement. The only point I wanted to make.
No, you can't. Yeah.
The only point that I did want to make is jus soli, right? Again, talking about the right of citizenship within the birthplace, and then jus sanguinis, the right of blood. So that's the 2 fundamental, and that that's science. That's, you know what I'm saying? You can't change those right there. And that's why even you have what's called dual citizenship. You can be a citizen in, you know, 2 different countries or even 3 different countries. So anyways, and I'm glad we're having this rich conversation, because when people go back and look at the video, then they can look and say, okay, hey, you know, we're seeing some things right here, and we're getting a deeper understanding of what's going on. So like I said, things are going to spin off based off of the topics that we bring up. And if we just run through these real quick, then we're not doing the research that we did justice. We're not doing the people justice, more importantly, because now we have, you know, we're just throwing information out there and we're not giving any context. Just like Abdullah said, you just can't make a blanket statement and generalize. You know what I'm saying? Just like the question that was asked to me, am I part or descendant of those Moors that invaded Spain? And again, like I said, yes. So that was the point that we were proving. But again, that was getting off of the topic a little bit, but you know, we found a way to bring it back.
Can I add a little something to it as we see, we got to understand our relationship with the country that we're dealing with. In specific, as it's dealing with the United States.
Hold on, King. Somebody.
Yeah, walk across the street
Can
like
you
that.
Go ahead, King. Go ahead.
So just breaking this down, making this real simple, right? So when we talk about citizenship as it relates to the United States, we're dealing with a citizenship of a civil duty. That's dealing with the act of a civil duty, because you're dealing with 2 forms of law within the legal system. Not, you're dealing with 2 legal system, a mixed system within the United States. And it's based upon civil duty. This is why you have civil unrest, right? So the relationship that they're saying based on this citizenship, you have a civil duty. It's not based on consanguinity or even so much just solely. It's based solely on just solely in the sense that you are present on the land. The reason why the United States, they're making United States a melting pot, is because based on the doctrine of discovery, they're saying that it wasn't no inhabitants. So they're trying, but they're still in conflict, because there are other nations that's claiming conquesting titles. So who were the people they were fighting with? So it's an oxymoron. Once you understand how this relationship was established, and the more I deep and study with Abdullah, the better I can sink my teeth into this. So I'm giving you better insight based on the 14th Amendment application, as they're trying to bring you and say you have a civil duty to this nation based on these grounds, but we couldn't have one based on the fact that we were under subjugation due to the stripping of our national origin and our language to the bone. They stripped us to the bone. So they can never use that argument, and it's already in conflict with the conquest title that they're saying they're holding, also adopting the principle of the doctrine of discovery, because the United States is a trustee over these European nations, right? So once you better understand this is why when we have these conversations, we can better root ourselves in having specific knowledge to address these issues that plague in our community. And now we have a sound legal basis. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not just guesstimating what's going on. Now, through our studies and through your studies and enriching me, my brother Akono, is showing me and giving me better clarity and insight of what was used, the strategies that was used, the adoption of these policies that came from various sources through the social engineering to utilize this as a weapon of mass destruction to strip the indigenous people of their autonomous indigenous rights. Because if the indigenous people here were here, they would have to protect our fundamental rights. But through these principles that they're trying to utilize and make these claims under, they're trying to say we were never here, we came from somewhere else, so we don't have to honor none of the things you're talking about. We don't have to listen to that, it's frivolous. But like Abdullah said, we have to form this, Voltron and come together to challenge this. Until we challenge their claims, and make sure we come together, we will never resolve the issue. It's about now to challenge. We're coming together to learn how to challenge these claims and put ourselves back in proper position based on these studies. These studies is going to change how we think, grow, and come together as a people to now have a national defense. Nationality gives us a national defense.
Can I just I want to like read a little piece of it's a suit that I actually have in the court now against the United States. I just want to read a paragraph or two out of it.
Hey, go ahead, brother, but I got to close in like 7 more minutes, but go ahead.
Okay, everybody take a minute. Okay, from the day of my birth, the defendant has deceived me into believing that all of my ancestors were slaves from Africa. The fact is that my ancestors were the original sovereign nations of North America whom the defendant destroyed, enslaved, and labeled as Negroes, blacks, and colors for over 200 years. The defendant has deceived me into believing that I was a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen by virtue of my birth in the United States. The facts are that, one, the amendment merely gave my ancestors the opportunity to apply for U.S. citizenship. The defendant, as an invading nation, could not make my ancestors U.S. citizens without them going through the immigration and naturalization process. Two, the enclave clause, in the words of the 14th Amendment, confined the authority of the amendment to the District of Columbia. Three, the 14th Amendment was never properly ratified. More than 2/3 of Congress rejected, blah, blah, blah. Instead, in spite of the foregoing facts, I am forced to say that I am a U.S. citizen to work a job, to have a bank account, or even a debit card. I am forced to say that I am a U.S. citizen to travel in the land of my ancestors and abroad. I am forced to say that I am a U.S. citizen to buy a house or a car. I am forced to pay taxes to the defendant and the states that I am not a citizen of. My Moorish Republic identification card is often stolen and destroyed by federal officers. Now, this is going back to the part about the brothers saying we never agreed, no matter what, we could never agree to be U.S. citizens because we are consistently forced into that status. I just wanted to say that.
Let me say this, brother, Menace, brother, just for this is for everybody, because this is for everybody, because I know because we won't, I don't, but the mass of the people only see United States. I don't, because of my studies. I don't only see United States because of my studies. And I said before, United States did not initiate anything. The United States did not initiate any mass denationalization. Spain classified us as Negro. Portugal, it's France. This is it, because this is important, so that this is important, because if we continue to push as if the United States initiated, we will lose. I don't want to lose. I'm not doing all this, and we ain't doing all this to lose. We ain't in it to lose. So we cannot put the United States first on anything. regarding denationalization, slavery, subjugation. United States did not initiate anything. We will lose. I don't want to lose. So when it comes to mass nationalization, as far as initiating it, the United States is out of the picture. Spain classified us as Negro, not the United States. No, Code Noir. I got to present some facts. Just give me 2 more minutes, man. That's all I need, because they got to walk away with solid information.
That's right.
Code Noir of 1685. That's the French. The French applied Code Noir, Noir, in the Caribbean in 1685. Look it up. The French applied Code Noir of 1724 in the Louisiana Territory. Look it up. The states adopted Code Noir.
Mhm.
The states did not draft anything. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Alabama, whatever. They did not draft. They adopted Code Noir of 1724. England classified us as Black and Indian. French also classified us as Black. That's Code Noir.
Mhm.
So the United States is a trustee and a fiduciary. They're maintaining, but they did not initiate. These Moors classified as Negro, color, Black, and also conscious Moors. They present as though the United States initiated. We will lose. I don't want to lose. I'm not in it to lose. I'm not in it to lose.
Indeed. Islam.
Great,
Islam.
great bill, great bill.
We have come. This has been awesome. This has been awesome. And I know what we have. With what we have to present to finish the presentation. We not even a fourth in. And the thing about it is, it's to provoke thinking and to have these conversations and for us to dig deeper into what's happening. I foresee this happening. We may have to present at least two more times to get through it, because this right here is just the opening of what we're actually presenting, and it's going to be more. We're going to keep on, presenting and talking, and it's going to be richer. It's going to be more. There's going to be more input and things of that nature. So come with your thinking hats on, because we're going to delve into some topics here. All of what we're presenting is on the same kind of spectrum or level or whatever the case it is. So it's going to go over every time we present, and it might take us 2 presentations more, or maybe 3. Because there's a lot involved. And Abdullah was like, hey, brother, if you're going to skip over it, I'd rather not you even do it. You know what I'm saying? So we had to have some house rules before I presented. He's like, no, brother. Yeah, we got some house rules on this one. So I thank everyone for your time, everyone with comments, everyone for holding on. And just contributing to the conversation. Akono?
Yeah, again, like you said, I want to thank everybody for your time tonight. Brother King, I know you got something you want to drop, so before we close, I'm going to let you drop it. But yeah, go ahead.
This is what I want to say to you, Brother Kono and Brother F.O.T.M.R.P. We're getting prepared to make a claim. You guys going to go to speak. You guys are going with us.
We don't believe in doing it.
So we need to make sure we have our game knocked out, because these are facts that get presented on an international level when we make these claims. So I want everybody to understand, to raise the bar to excellence. because this is when we get ready, this is what we're doing. We're building this claim. So I want to thank you again, Akono, for doing this, and I need y'all to master your craft, because you guys are going to be speaking on this subject matter. And I yield.
Indeed.
Appreciate you all.
That's what I want to hear. And that's important. That's important because we got to have that mindset. We got to have that mindset of what we're preparing for. We got to have that mindset. We got to prepare the people for that. We're not in it to lose.
Nope.
We're not in it to lose.
Well, I would just say this: stay tuned, because if what we're doing right now, what we presented so far, like I said, we got a whole, what you talking about, King, as far as the claim and the whole night, bro, we ain't even got into the presentation yet. But this is the intro. That's why Kono said warning. He told you in the beginning, warning. You know what I'm saying? So warning again. We got more to come. Same bat time, same bat channel. So it's happening.
Indeed, if y'all haven't subscribed, like right behind me, you see the Helping Our People Elevate. But I'm at 693 subscribers now, so I'm on the route to 700. And so I appreciate everybody who have subscribed, everybody who's been checking the content out, everybody who's been helping push the content. I really appreciate y'all.
Unsubscribe.
I thank you, brother. Thank you. Brother Elkanan, like I said, I appreciate you. Brother Abdullah, Brother King, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you, brothers.
It takes all of us.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
It takes all of us. And so with that, I yield, and I'll see y'all again. What we gonna do next week or the week after, Brother Elkanan?
Let's. I don't want it to sound like this. Let's do it next week to kind of get it out the way, because as time goes on for me, I'm gonna be more in the thick of things. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but we're gonna do next week. We're gonna do next week, and then we'll discuss with Abdullah what the time looks like for week 3, if we're gonna do it in succession or if we're gonna have a gap or something like that.
Okay. So indeed, we'll see y'all again, same time, same next week. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Long.
Peace and love. Islam more. Cash.